Hey guys, so I just want to really quickly jump on here and give you some verbal instructions for the no chill, no spread recipe that I just posted. So, the ingredients, of course, I will post below, but mixing directions as far as it goes. For your 1 pound butter, you want that to be cold. What I do for mine is I put it in the microwave. On my microwave, I have a baby food setting, which I think is 10 seconds intervals, but it's at half power. So I do 20 seconds altogether at half power, 10 seconds intervals. I then mix that down by itself until it becomes fluffy and creamy. At that point is when I add my drop of purple gel food coloring, and that is to basically knock out or cancel out the yellow. And then I'm looking over here because I have the ingredients and stuff over here. And so then at that point I add in my powdered sugar, my cane sugar, and if I don't use the cane sugar, then I just add in all the powdered sugar, the cornstarch, and the egg in the bowl, and I mix that together until it's fluffy. And you'll notice at that point, you'll still have a little bit of yellow in your coloring just because of the fact that you have the egg yolk. But to me, it's not a big deal. My cookies still come out pretty light. I add the cornstarch in there with the powdered sugar because for me, I believe that the powdered sugar and the cornstarch together, when it incorporates, it just makes it a more smooth texture. Then once that's all mixed together for about 20-30 seconds until basically it's all incorporated, is then when I go and I add in all of my flavoring. So that's the tablespoon of almond, teaspoon of vanilla, and then the other clear flavoring. Mix that and incorporate that together. So total mixing time at this point should have been about like 5 minutes of mixing, from whipping your butter until it's fluffy and then adding in the more liquid ingredients. At this point is when I then go in and I add in all of my flour. And so this is going to be a lot of flour in your mixer. You cannot do this with a hand mixer. You can try doing it by hand, but I have a KitchenAid mixer. That's what I use. And so this is going to be pretty tough on your mixer, but it's not a big deal if you know how to mix it properly. Do not try to use a higher speed because then it's just going to strain the motor even more. I use like the step right beyond stir. So I think it's like a 3 or 4 on the KitchenAid mixer. And I basically only want to mix my ingredients until they're incorporated. Basically the stage right after the crumble texture. And so at that point, what I do is I take out half of the mixture, set it aside, and leave half the mixture in the bowl. That's then when I go in and I add 1/4 teaspoon of the baking powder. Or if you want to, you can add the 2/4 to 3/4 baking powder in while it's at that crumble stage, and then mix it to like right beyond that. So then we're now back to the sorry, I'm losing track of my thoughts. So now we're basically at the 2 halves of the dough. So this is going to make it easier on your mixer by taking out half of the ingredients. And you're going to mix it until it reaches a very smooth, thick Play-Doh consistency. Once that happens, you take that portion of the dough out, pop that aside, take the other one that you have set aside, put that in the mixer, mix it the same exact way until you get that smooth, thick Play-Doh texture. For me, it usually takes about 40 to 60 seconds of mixing to get it to this smooth state. You'll definitely be able to feel the texture. If you're a cake popper, then you kind of know the difference between your textures of consistency, and that's basically what you're looking for, something smooth like that. So then I take the dough out. I then knead it together for about 20 seconds, basically to incorporate those 2 halves back together. I lightly flour my surface with flour, and I roll up my cookie dough pretty thick. Basically, you want to do it pretty much as close to what your size or height would be of your cookie once it's done baking. So for me, I don't really know measurements wise, but I'd say mine is usually about the thickness of my pinky nail is how thick I like to roll out my cookie dough. And you bake it for basically 15 to 19 minutes. I think the baking time is going to vary for people depending on what type of oven you have. I have a commercial grade oven, so I have a huge bakery style oven at my bakery that I bake with, and I bake at 295. Pretty much everything I bake at 295. My cakes, my cupcakes, cookies, brownies, I bake pretty much everything at that temperature. Just because my oven, the type of oven that I have, of course, bakes pretty quickly and is really efficient with heat and everything else. So then, once they're baking, you'll have to pay attention because basically they're going to look very white and they're almost going to look like they're not done baking, but they are. So basically, once I can lift my cookie off of the parchment paper, I know that it's done. I'm going to set it aside, and this is where you're going to notice it has that lighter color, and I think it has the lighter color because of the fact of you adding the small drop of purple to cancel out the yellow in the butter, and the fact that you whip the butter until it was more so a fluffy texture, which is usually lighter in color. So that's what I do for the cookies. Now, as far as the royal icing goes, I add in two groups. So for my royal icing, what I like to do is I like to add my very, very warm water, 3 tablespoons of meringue powder, my flavoring, and my corn syrup into the bowl. So as far as how much water I put in when I'm first starting off, I usually add in, what do I usually add in? Oh, I usually add in the half a cup of water in the beginning, but I do it 1/4 at a time. So I start off to give it a little bit of mix, so it's going to do the crumble stage and everything else, and then I keep adding the 1/4 in. Really depending on the weather, depends on how much I end up adding in, but it's usually about half a cup of warm water that I usually end up adding in with the 2 pounds of powdered sugar. It's a very easy recipe to make. It can be very, very stiff. You can water it down or thin it out by using some lemon juice is what I always like to add. I feel like it changes the texture. Not sure. That's just what I like to do. And yeah, pretty much that should be very helpful for you guys to get started if you plan on using the recipe today. And then I will actually go to the bakery and do an in-depth video and show you guys exactly the texture that I'm talking about and the consistencies and stuff like that. So thank you so much for all the positive feedback that you guys gave me on the cookie page. And I will be making more videos here on my YouTube channel. I'll be showing you guys how to use a Cricut to make cookie stencils. I have an edible printer, so we'll do something with that. And everything else. I also like to do makeup and all these other artsy, fartsy things, basically, and all that stuff will be on this channel too. But hopefully you guys can help me out grow when it comes to like this cookie thing, because this is new for me. I usually stick to like the custom wedding cakes and 3D cakes and things of that nature. So, hope this video is very useful. I'm on my way to deliver the cookies that I made. So yeah, hope this video helps. Thank you so much.